in the financial services industry, and I worked at the Village Bank for 10 weeks. So, to begin, I had a really big question about the financial services industry, which is the industry which provides services that helps people to manage their money. So, at the Village Bank, I had questions about the mortgage industry. And the mortgage industry is a huge part of the financial services industry. And over 4 million homes are bought and sold every year, so that's a lot of people that need mortgages. Right now, there are 45 million mortgages in the United States. So I was wondering, once you send in your mortgage application, something that the adults in the room might have already done or plan on doing, how many people review the application to make sure that the applicant has the right income, to make sure it's a good loan for both the applicant and to make sure the bank is making a safe loan? So the mortgage industry employs over 287,000 people in the United States. And so because the average mortgage takes 25 years to pay off, the term mortgage comes from a French term meaning death pledge. So one thing I learned from my internship is that the Village Bank is awesome. They have a commitment to the city of Newton and its residents through their customer service, and a commitment to the Newton Public School System and its students, as you can see from the eco-diesel bus they donated. So this is a great business model because it brings in customers and it gives the employees something that they feel good about. It gives meaning to their work. So as I began, some of my teachers, like Mr. Finnegan or my friends, thought that perhaps I would be restocking the ATM or making copies or rolling 40 quarters into a roll. But I never actually touched any cash. However, on my very first day, I was able to help Andrea, one of the loan servicing clerks, to give someone the ownership of their home back. After they had fully paid off their mortgage and made the final payment, we took the deed of their house and sent it over to the attorney to transfer ownership from the bank to them. So it was great on my very first day to see how monumental the work they did was. And to Andrea, it was just another day. So to explain my interest in finance, I like money. I like to make money. I like to save my money. I like to spend my money. And I like to sometimes invest my money. And so from my experiences managing my own money and helping my friends to manage their finances, I've become passionate about majoring in finance and becoming some sort of financial planner or advisor, or working as a manager in a financial institution such as a bank or a brokerage firm. So I was really nervous to begin my work because I had to go suit shopping, I had to work in an adult atmosphere, doing real life work with a bunch of people, and it was very nerve-wracking, but as soon as I began, it all went away and I became very comfortable in my setting at the bank. And everyone there was very eager to help me learn and very eager to show me what they were doing in their day-to-day jobs. So during my time, I learned a lot about how a loan center runs. And so my mentor, Yale, at the bank, was the manager of the loan servicing department. So he showed me how he managed his people. And he didn't just have to manage the loan servicing clerks, but he also had to do a lot of small, odd jobs to clean up the details of the loan system. And this was similar to my leadership philosophy because in my after-school job at a bagel store, I have to be just as detail-oriented when I clean the bakery at the end of the night as he does. So I also realized that each person at the loan center was a key part of the overall system that kept it running. So from the front desk secretary, Paula, to the tech support guru, Rick, everybody played a key role in the system, and everyone helped me in really profound ways to understand how the whole system ran. And without one person, the whole system would be at a standstill. So I think it's beneficial for you guys to understand the process of what happens after you send in your mortgage application. And by understanding it, you can really understand what goes on after you send it in. So it starts with the loan originator. And so they explain the different product features to you because there's a lot of different mortgage options available. You have fixed rate versus adjustable rate. You have different lengths of terms. You have different interest rates. So you can choose a plan that results in the payments that you want to make that benefit you. Whether you want to pay it off quickly or if you want to have really small monthly payments, you can customize it however you want, and the loan originator will explain that to you. So they begin by gathering all the documents, all your information, and they begin to get your income documentation. So this is really to get a complete, accurate picture of your financial life, how much money you bring in every month and how much money you spend every month. So this means they need like your tax returns, they need 2 years of tax returns. If you work for someone, they need your W-2 and pay stubs. If you own a business, they need your business tax returns and a profit and loss statement. And they want all of your bank account statements from every bank account you have and copies of any loans you might have, whether they be auto loans or commercial loans, anything that pertains to your financial life. And they enter it into the system and get you started on reviewing your application. So the loan processor deals with both the client as well as third-party services such as the attorney and the appraiser. So they get any missing documentation and they talk to the attorney who handles closing, and they talk to the appraiser who tries to make an opinion on the value of the home based on an inspection of the inside and outside and comparing it to homes that have recently sold in the area, maybe within a few blocks or just within the same city. And they look for similar homes to try to assess the value, and they make an opinion. And 3 different appraisers can have 3 different opinions on the value of a home. And then the applicant can usually borrow up to 80% of the value of the home. So they compile all of the income documentation, make it easier to understand so it's not just a giant stack of paper, and send it over to the underwriter who makes the decision. So the underwriter is the one that's going to analyze the income to see whether or not they can handle this extra mortgage payment every month. So they calculate different ratios, such as the loan as a percentage of the house value, or the debt to income ratio of how much money you have to spend on your debt compared to how much money you're making. And so then they either approve or deny the loan, and if they approve it, it moves to closing. If they deny it, they might have conditions that you need to satisfy, such as paying off credit card debt, or they might propose a modification, such as a longer, like a 30-year instead of a 15-year loan, to reduce the payments and make it easier to handle. So then, after the process, it's cleared. So the new couple gets to rent their U-Haul, move into their new home, and the attorney handles everything, paying the realtor, getting ownership to the bank, and the person 30 days later has their first mortgage payment. So, to talk about what I did at the bank, I worked on a variety of independent projects. So, I was able to use skills I already had in ways to contribute to the bank. So for my first project, I was finding contact information of people who owned corporations. And these corporations had business loans that were being refinanced. They were being taken to another bank because of a merger. And rather than dealing with that new big bank, the Village Bank was proposing counteroffers because they could provide lower interest rates to those people and better service. So I would search online using state public databases to find these people's contact information, and then the loan officers would reach out to them. So I was really surprised that a bank would do this, but it makes sense for a small bank to actively seek out new customers. For my second project, I made an electronic handbook of all of my boss's Yale's policies and procedures. And so this was step-by-step instructions on how to be a loan servicing clerk, which is to collect payments for a mortgage. And so then you have to be a teller, an accountant, you have to enter these payments into the system, and you handle non-payments as well, and you reach out to customers. So these were step-by-step instructions that were compiled into sections, and I made a table of contents with hyperlinks to every section, and it ended up being a 200-page PDF file that was available to all of the loan servicing clerks. So this was really cool because when a new loan servicing clerk joined the bank to deal with the expansion of the bank, she used my ebook to train in how to do her job. and how the bank expected her to treat customers and handle loans. And it was great for me to receive praise directly from someone who was using my resource to learn how to do her job. And it was really amazing. So for my third project, I was stuck in the basement of the loan center looking through old paper files of underwriting. And so I was modernizing their current record-keeping system, which is online, and I was finding credit scores of previous loans and entering them online. And I wasn't just doing data entry, but I was able to help them to have a more accurate picture of the history of their underwriting guidelines and the type of loans they had been giving out. And even though it was really repetitive, boring work, and I fell asleep once during it, I was able to reaffirm my belief that any job worth doing is a job worth doing right. So to talk about what it's like to work in an office and have to wear a suit every day, at the Village Loan Center, there's a bunch of cubicles, and I was in a room with a bunch of ladies, and there were 6 cubicles, and sometimes it was hard to stay focused because you could hear someone 3 cubicles away if they took a sip of water, and sometimes it's hard to be inspired by gray cubicle walls, but I was able to make my workplace a place where I could really stay focused and it would be inspiring by decorating my cubicle with my college banner, the Village Bank Preferred Banking Pledge, and I would hang up documents pertaining to the work I was doing to keep it in the back of my mind, and so that as I worked, I would look up and sort of be reminded of these things. And I really enjoyed working at the Loan Center because besides for me, my boss Yale, and the loan originator Jared, on the bottom floor of retail lending, it was entirely composed of female employees. So these were moms, even grandmas, and they would be talking about recipes, they'd be sharing food, they would talk about the news, they would joke around about stuff I didn't understand. And it was really nice because I would bring in coffee for them all the time, and they would bake me pastries and stuff, which were really good. And I really felt like I was part of a team. Even though everyone was doing their own independent work, they were all focused on a team goal. So I thought that was really cool. So for my final project to the Loan Center, I did a presentation. And so this presentation had to do with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and new regulations the bank was going to be under. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was created as a result of the 2008 recession. And I did a survey. I surveyed seniors at this school to find out what they thought the cause of the recession was. And surprisingly, nobody thought that it was a result of bad loans handed out by banks that were bailed out or dissolved by the federal government. Instead, they thought it was because it was the government's fault, or it was because of the stock market crash, or some people said they just had no idea. But these laws from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau are specifically designed to prevent another subprime mortgage crisis. And this basically means they're trying to educate consumers and make banks more transparent so that banks aren't preying on people, they're not making risky loans for profit. So for my project, I made a PowerPoint presentation about as the bank grows from a small bank to a large bank, a small creditor to a large creditor, they have new regulations that they have to follow, such as periodic statements or having a team to review loss mitigation applications, which is options other than foreclosure, because that's actually a costly process for both the borrower and the bank alike. So when I gave this presentation, it was to the whole loan servicing department, and it was about how these rules were going to change their day-to-day life and how it was going to change the job that they have to do. And afterwards, when I received so much praise and everyone really appreciated my work, it was amazing. In that moment, I realized that the CAPS experience had allowed me, as a student, to educate these adults on things that would be really important to them. And it was really rewarding for me to be able to help these people who do really complex, real-world jobs and to use my own research to benefit them. So, in conclusion, during my time at the bank, I realized why I want to be a financial planner and to work in financial services. I was talking to one of the loan processors, Leah, and she was telling me about why she works for the bank, and that she doesn't see it as just a boring desk job. She said that there's no better feeling than being able to help a new couple to move into their first home, and I agree. It certainly must be amazing for someone to have that type of fulfillment in their work and to see the work they do all around town. And when I drive around Newton and I see new homes being built, I see the work of the Village Loan Center everywhere I look. So some people, like mechanics, might work on your car, or a dentist might, fix your teeth. But as a financial planner, you're able to help people. You're able to help people to manage their money, to save for retirement, or in the mortgage industry, you're able to help people with the most personal thing of all, where they live, their home. And that's what I learned. Thank you.